Colin is joining us now via Zoom. Can you hear me, Colin?
Hello.
Hello?
Hi there, Dylan.
How's it going? Thanks very much for coming on to the show, Colin.
My absolute pleasure, my friend. How are you today?
I'm doing okay, thanks for asking. So, I suppose just to kind of get the ball rolling, can you give us a bit of a background as to what your history is with music and how you got started?
Well, how I got started. I suppose I've always been interested in music. I guess when I was younger, I needed a way of expressing myself, and music's always been a bit like therapy for me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when I was growing up, my brother was and still is like an extremely talented artist. So he's actually an LSAD alum. So I'm sure some of your listeners will
Yeah,
be
probably, yeah.
LSAD alums at
Mm.
some point. So I guess I suppose I was a bit jealous of him and his talent, and I needed to find my thing, and my thing happened to be music. So then I just did what everyone else does, and I joined a band and gigged like mad around Kerry and earned my stripes, as it were.
So, you have over a decade of live performance experience. Can you give us a bit of an insight as to what that was like and how you kind of got started recording professionally?
Well, the gigging side of things, I suppose I started around gigging around Killarney, and there's a great music scene around Killarney. Like literally every pub has music in it. So when I was young and starting out, I suppose me and one of my buddies, we started gigging. We were like 14, so it was perfect for us, you know. And the studio side of things came a bit later. But I suppose the beauty of the era that I grew up in, home recording was already a big thing at that point. So by the time I started coming into actual proper studios, I was used to the recording process and the mindset that you have to be in. So like by the time you get into the studio, like all your practice is done, and it's just
Okay.
about getting the right performance then.
So, what you're kind of saying then is when you kind of when you got into a studio setting, it wasn't really much of a surprise. You already had experience recording from home. So, can you tell us a bit about that? How like what you already knew going into a studio setting, and was there anything that was like surprising at all?
Not really. I mean, the thing is kind of the same. I guess it's on a bigger scale,
Yeah.
but the essence of it is the same. It's all about trying to capture the right performance. That's never going to change. That's always going to be the same.
So, you released your first single last year. Can you tell us a bit about the whole process of, I suppose, recording the song and getting it out there? Like, was there anything strange or new that you had to learn in order to do that?
Well, the little bits, yeah, of course. I mean, now you have your digital distributors and all that stuff, and getting it to Spotify. I guess everything is a little bit different to how it used to be. Before
Yeah.
you would pay someone a crazy amount of money to record in a studio and have to print off hundreds of CDs and hope to God that somebody buys them. But now I guess it is sort of suited to what I'm doing, which is sort of the home studio. Like you can kind of do everything yourself, and I really like that. That suits me.
And have you had any difficulty with the business side of things? Let's say getting tracks out to radio stations and that sort of thing. Do you think that's a challenge at all?
I mean, it's definitely a grind, but like it has to be done. That's the way I see it. So, like when you're starting out, like every play you get
Yeah.
is a success. So you just have to cherish those little wins. Um, I suppose you just have to keep wearing people down, really. Like
Hmm.
in
So
general, though, I feel like people have been very kind to me and my music, so I'm quite grateful. But it's about putting in the work,
yeah,
the
so
hard work.
yeah, so it's about kind of the grind or the hustle then would be kind of your advice.
100%. Oh, absolutely. If I was giving out advice, absolutely. It's all hard work.
Yeah.
Talent is about 5% of the actual
Okay.
thing. It's all about really like because everyone's talented.
Yeah.
I'm doing air quotes there. I know you can't see me, but everyone's talented. It's just about the hard work and whether you're willing to put it in or not.
Okay, so obviously you have a lot of experience and you obviously have a lot of insight. Has there been any kind of standout moments in your career so far that in the past 10 years or so that kind of stand out to you as being a major success or a major failure, for want of a better word, or I suppose anything that really jumps out at you in that respect?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely been some failures, but I'll highlight the good things, I suppose.
Okay.
But you have to take both ends, I suppose. But last year, one of the bigger things, I got to perform on TG Car and BBC to Northern Ireland as part of a St. Patrick's Day broadcast, and I got to perform A Rainy Night in Soho by the Pogues, and it was just a great night. There was a lot of like well-known Irish musicians there, and it was a really fun production. But I suppose all the music I've released, like those have been kind of the standout
Okay.
moments for me, you know.
And I actually meant to ask you if you were to describe your music to someone that hadn't heard it, how would you describe it?
Um, I suppose nowadays you have to try and describe everything in one line,
Yeah.
but I get, Irish alt pop, I
Okay.
guess, is fair enough. I mean, hopefully the people who've just heard my latest single, that'll give you some indication as to what it sounds like, but I guess I have a lot of different influences, but the sound always varies depending on the story you're trying to tell.
And is there
And
any particular artists that you look to for inspiration?
definitely, definitely. I've got a very eclectic taste, but
Okay.
I guess I can find something in almost every form of music that I like, But I think some of the artists that have really like hit home for me are the likes of James Vincent McMorrow, the
Yeah.
Five Ants, the 1975. I think like James Vincent McMorrow is probably the reason why I'm still playing music today, because
Okay.
like he just he was exactly who I wanted to be when I had to kind of figure out what I was going to do for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It was the right timing. So I owe him a lot. But James, if you're out there, thank you. Maybe he's listening. Who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, so you released your latest single called "Loving You in Vain" over the summer.
Yeah.
I suppose can you kind of give us an insight as to what you've learned since releasing the last single, and you know, I suppose what has changed between now and then?
Well, yeah. I mean, I that's the thing is you do learn something new every time you put out music.
Yeah.
Because whether it be in the build up to it, in the promotion of it, it all changes, and hopefully you would learn from new experiences and whatnot. But I mean, what's changed? I suppose COVID. That's that's what's changed.
Addressing the elephant in the room.
I think you have to, don't you?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, no, that brings me on. Well, I wanted to ask, how do you think that COVID-19 has impacted your work and impacted your plans going forward?
Well, I mean, massive, massive. It's like it's had a huge impact. But like before COVID, I was doing a residency over in Disney World, Orlando, as a
Okay,
session musician. And when all that kicked off, we were sent packing.
right.
Um, I mean, obviously, I've had plenty of time to work on my music and that,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
like, I mean, I've been gigging my entire life, so it's a very strange time. Like, I mean,
Yeah, you mentioned there that you've had a lot of time to write. Do you think that it's been a productive few months? You know what I mean? People I've spoken to kind of have mixed opinions on this, but do you think it's been a productive period of time, or have you ever suffered from writer's block or anything like that?
for me, it's been productive anyway. I try not to get too bogged down with writer's block and that kind of thing. You just have to grind them out sometimes.
Yeah.
Luckily enough, whenever I sit down, if something happens, I kind of like that. I try to be religious about the writing, like, and just do it every day if I can. But I suppose, like, in terms of, like we talked about already, home recording has been huge for me kind of most of my career. So now it's
Okay.
been the fact that I kind of already know what I'm doing in that regard. But I've had to step up my game with videos,
Yeah.
and luckily I have a killer producer, Mr. Barry O'Connell. He's probably listening right now, so I'm giving him a shout out because he's my best collaborator, and dare I say, biggest fan as well. So hopefully he's out there.
Very
Um,
nice.
but yeah, it's been productive. It's
Yeah,
been
no,
productive.
and you just mentioned the video there, the video for Loving You in Vain. Can you give us a bit of an insight as to what making the video was like, and was that a difficult process at all, or I suppose how did you find the whole process of making the video?
Well, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, we had sort of a skeleton crew anyway. Luckily, we sort of work with only a couple of people,
Yeah.
so it was fine in that regard, in compliance regards and all that.
Okay.
But the actual creation of it was really fun. I mean, your listeners can go and watch it afterwards, but
Yeah.
basically we're running around Cork for 2 days, being chased by a man in a morph suit. So we freaked a lot of people out, especially in the times that we're in. You know, people are kind of on edge already, but we definitely freaked some people out. Hopefully, we gave some people some laughs as well. You know.
Yeah.
But that's what it's
So,
all about.
yeah, so what are your plans for the future then? Obviously, COVID always has an impact on these things, but like notwithstanding that, what are your hopes for the future?
Yeah. Well, 2021, I hope it's gonna be a busy year. I don't know if it's gonna be a big year, but it's gonna be a busy year. So I've literally last week just moved over to Scotland to work full time with my producer, Barry O'Connell, as mentioned. And the plan is to release as much music as possible, basically. Like the next single is coming in January.
Okay.
And then we can be expecting a block release by hopefully the summer, probably an EP by the summer, I would say, with a couple of singles in between all that.
And I actually meant to ask you there, do you think that your style has changed much? Do you think your musical style has changed much throughout the years, or has it kind of remained constant?
Oh no, I mean it has to, but like that's the beauty of making music, you know. Every time you sit down to make something new, you would hope that you go in a different direction to what you've already gone before, you know. So it's always, you know, new music is always informed by previous creations, but you have to have the desire to go elsewhere, you know. And
so do you really kind of take that approach then of kind of improving on or refining what you did before?
Yeah. So certain elements, absolutely. But then trying to push into different boundaries, like the next single that we're hoping to release in January, I think is going to be a little bit of a departure from the previous stuff. I mean, it's always going to have me in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Elements of my sound that we've created so far. And, you know, people pick out certain things that say are a thread through what we've been doing already. You know, we're big on backing vocals and or drum beats and stuff like that, but actually this time the drums are going in a different direction. It might be slightly more electronic to what the people are used to hearing from me. So I suppose it's all about trying something different.
So are you saying then that your influences have changed over time?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
sure.
And on kind of longer term, do you want to kind of stick with this style of music on a long-term basis, or do you think that you're just kind of experimenting at this moment in time?
I mean, I'm always experimenting slightly. I suppose when I sit down to write, that's when, you know, the pure, say it's me and my guitar, that's always going to sound relatively the same. The production is probably the thing that you can change the most, you know, and that you can move in a different direction. But I suppose songwriting wise, it's probably always going to be me, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, we're almost out of time. I'd like to thank you very much for coming on. Just to finish things off, if people are looking online, where should they look? And is there anything in particular that you'd like to share at this moment in time?
Well, yes, Spotify, Apple Music, you know, all the streaming platforms, I'm there. So check it out there. And all my music videos are on YouTube. And you can follow me regularly on Instagram, colin.andrew.mus. I couldn't get music, you know, I couldn't get the full one. But just we're building towards the next single in January, so that's what people have to look forward to, hopefully.
Okay. Well, thank you very
Yeah.
much. So, watch this space, and we look forward to hearing the new single then, hopefully in January. So, thanks very much for coming on, Colin. It's been an honor to speak with you today.
And you as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much. Bye.
Cheers. Bye bye. Cheers.